Isaiah Factor Uncensored. Isaiah's keeping the conversation going about Deputy Dhaliwal. Hey, Isaiah.
Hey there, Caitlin. We're going to talk about how this man had quite an impact on this community, and we're going to talk to the people who know him best and the man who gave him his job at the Harris County Sheriff's Department, and that's coming up next on The Factor.
The Isaiah Factor Uncensored starts right now.
And first up on The Factor Uncensored, a story still hard to believe for much of our city. Harris County Sheriff's Deputy Sandeep Dhaliwal was shot and killed during a traffic stop last Friday. Tonight, his co-workers, colleagues, friends, and the community packed a park in Cypress for a vigil. Dhaliwal was a pioneer for his community. He was the first deputy in the state allowed to wear his turban while on the job at the Harris County Sheriff's Office.
In honor of our friend, in honor of our hero, gone much too soon. Last Friday was a very sad day for all of us, and we continue to struggle with the loss.
Now, here's the man accused of pulling the trigger. Robert Solis, charged with murder. Judge denying his bond. Cops had been looking for him since 2017 when he violated his parole.
Public safety has to be priority as opposed to keep giving violent offenders chance after chance. We have to treat parole fugitives as seriously as we do when someone breaks out of prison.
Here to remember their friend is Harris County Commissioner Adrian Garcia, Deputy Dhaliwal's friend Zafar Tahir, and Dr. Hardam Singh Azad from the Sikh National Center. We're glad to have you all here on The Factor Uncensored. First, Adrian, Commissioner Garcia, let's start with you. You introduced him to the world, not just Harris County, because there was national news coverage when you brought him onto the force.
I was proud to do it. I was proud to do it. He came in with his heart in hand and wanted to lead just that way. I remember telling him that the policy had been provided. He didn't have to do it, didn't need to do it. I didn't want him to do it, but it was there if he wanted to make use of it. And I told him that if you are going to do it, talk to your family, because there were things that I was concerned about. And he did. He came back and he says, Sheriff, I'm ready. I want to do this. And so he did, and in standard Sandeep fashion, he did it beautifully. He did it humbly, respectfully, with an incredible amount of decency. And then he went out there and changed the world.
Absolutely.
It was incredible. It was just incredible.
Now, what were your concerns when he first joined the force?
Well, first of all, look, when you wear a uniform and you have a badge and gun on you, you're a target. You're a target, plain and simple. But when you wear a turban like Mr. Azad here, you become even a larger target because there's an incredible amount of ignorance. People don't understand, and I was concerned from that standpoint. And Sandeep says, you know what, Sheriff, give me a chance. I'll get him with kindness. That's what he did. That's what he always kept saying. I'll get him with kindness. And so we talked about it, and I, in fact, instructed my communications team to work to educate in advance of the announcement that Sandeep would be in uniform with his turban, to start talking about what is the Sikh community and educate the public. And they did a good job at that. But Sandeep did the heavy lifting.
Dr. Azad, let's bring you into this conversation. How deep of a loss is this for your community? Because he just wasn't a deputy, he was a symbol.
Yeah.
He definitely was. I think thanks to Adrian Garcia, he did this community a huge favor.
Yes.
Not only within the Houston community, but the United States as well as the world at large. He was back in 2008, 2009. I heard the word repeatedly used, trailblazer.
Absolutely.
Pioneer. For us, he was a hero of sorts. He was inspirational figure for our Sunday school, for example.
When it became national news, Dr. Azad, and you saw him on NBC, Fox, were you proud as a member of the community?
With heavy heart, I was very proud that very few people get to do things to the world in death. That he is moving so many people in death. He never saw another human being as a white or black or Democrat or Republican or Christian or Sikh or Jews. He saw them as humans.
Yeah.
And that imprint is very heavy. I must say that that's rare. Even in our Sikh community, even those Sikh preachings are, hey, every human being created by God is equal, very similar to the Declaration of Independence here by Thomas Jefferson. Our guru, founder of Sikh religion, enunciated that very thing. And that is the essential difference between Hindus and Sikhs. He was born out of, so no need to go there.
Let's bring you in as his friend. How big of a loss is this for those who are surrounding him, his family and friends like you?
I got to know Sandeep for the first time about 8 years ago through Adrian. He introduced me. And over the years, I have interacted with him several times. The importance of Sandeep was the civil rights battles that are fought on daily basis that an average American is not aware of. The right to wear turban. To me, as a Muslim American originally from Pakistan, it's as important as a girl who's wanting to wear a hijab while on force. His right to have a beard is as important to me as a right to have a beard by an imam. Or his wish to keep the kirpan, which is a religious symbol, on him is as important as somebody holding a prayer beads in his hands. So the civil rights battle that Sandeep was at the forefront of, we are all beneficiaries of that. I knew him as a public servant, as a law enforcement officer, but he came from a very humble background. And he was very proud of his jobs at Kroger's and at a transportation company, at various odd jobs that he had, but he wanted to be a law enforcement officer. And Isaiah, last year I called him about another Sikh that I know who wanted to be a law enforcement officer. And he was nothing but very open and frank about information, about encouragement. And that gentleman right now is working for the Sheriff's Department.
Commissioner, let's bring you back into this conversation. It is a dangerous job out there.
It is.
How tragic was it to see this happen to him? Who, a man, any law enforcement officer, but this man became a symbol.
Look, nobody deserves a violent death. And in my career, there's so many names on the police memorials that are too familiar for me. And I remember almost every one of them that started, that have occurred since I started my career. But as I told folks tonight, that I never saw Sandeep as a friend. And if the age factor had worked out, I would not call him my brother. I would rather call him my son, because that's just how, just the pride that I have for how he did his job, how he led, and the things that he wanted to do, and the things that he cared about. But I also want to say, to accentuate what Mr. Azad said, Dr. Azad and Zafar, and that is that I was at the home at his home this weekend, and while we're there, the sheriff and I talking to his family, there were several Harris County Sikh deputies that were in the house. All of them came after Sandeep. And then there is a core of young people, some that were there tonight, that are members of the Sikh community, all because of Sandeep.
He was great. We want to thank you all for coming on. And of course, we'll be back on The Factor Uncensored. Next up, will America